Hello and welcome to this hands-on lab where we will modify this code pipeline CPEBS to now modify on a fleet of EC2 instances backed by EC2 and managed by ALB. Right now, we have the first deployment happening on Beanstalk, which we are treating as staging environment. And then the second deployment is happening on a single EC2 instance, which we have named as pre-prod. And now we will create another stage, which we will name as prod. And this will be the fleet of EC2 instances. So let us go ahead and edit this pipeline once again. Click on Add Stage. Stage name is Production. Click on Add Stage once again and click on Add Action Group, and this is Approval 2 because we already have an approval at pre-prod stage, and the action provider is manual approval, and SNS topic is once again my first topic, and we do not have to, it is not mandatory to put in other information, but if you want, that'll be great. Done. And now we have staging, pre-prod, prod, but we are not doing deployment in prod as of now. Click on Add Action Group. And this is fleet of EC2 instances deployment. Great. And it will be done by code build in Asia Pacific region and input artifact. Hence, because it's a build stage, it has to be build artifact. It's a deploy stage. That's why it has to be build artifact. Project name, CRUD CB, but the deployment. So this is for build. Oh, we are going wrong. It has to be code deploy because right now we are going to deploy it. And the input artifact will be build artifact. And application name is CRUD app CD. And this time the deployment group will be the deployment group which has AST and ALB, that is multiple EC2 instances. These are the two EC2 instances here. Okay. And that's it. I think we're good. If we can click on done, and if we can click on save, and if we want to test this, then we can either click on release change or test the pipeline overall. So let us do that. Let us once again change the color of about as well as index. Okay. All right. This is about and index. Let us change the color of index. Okay. Let us save this as well. And now git add, because we know what git status is going to give us. But let us still check. Git status, yes, these two files. Git add, git commit, changed, index, and about color for code pipeline production deployment. Okay. It's up to you what message you want to give. And then git push. Before that, let us once again ensure that we have this saved. Yes, we have it. Git push. And now, as I keep saying, the magic will happen. Source stage will very soon kick in, and then build, then the staging for Elastic Beanstalk, and then pre-prod where deployment on single EC2 instance will happen, and then production where deployment on multiple EC2 instances will happen. But before pre-prod and prod, manual approval step will kick in. Great. So let us wait, and when it will reach the pre-prod stage, in fact, when it will complete the deployment of Elastic Beanstalk and reach the manual approval stage in pre-prod, we will resume the recording. Okay, so just now, Elastic Beanstalk deployment, that is staging deployment, was successful. Let us refresh this. Okay. This is home page and this is about page. Good. It is different from what we had. Yep, this will be temporarily unavailable. And now it is waiting for manual approval. We have the email as well for manual approval. And let us click on review and click on approve. And now deployment on the single EC2 instance will start. Okay, so single EC2 instance deployment is successful, and I just noticed that spelling for my single is amazing. Okay. All right, so let us check this one as well. Yep. All right, great. And now there is another manual approval stage waiting. So staging is done, pre-prod is done with approval, and now production is waiting for our approval. We have the email, and now we are going to review it, and then we have reviewed it already here and approved it, and now deployment on the fleet of EC2 instances in our production environment is going on. This is how we build production grade deployments, but it has failed. Great. Let us see what could have gone wrong. Click on details. Another deployment to the AWS Code Deploy deployment group is already in progress. When did this happen? Another deployment to the AWS Code Deploy deployment group CRUD app CD ASG DG is already in progress. Let us check that. If it is true, then let us click on deployments. I do not see any deployment going on. No, I do not see any deployment going on. So the only possible is it because no, it couldn't be. Now this is the ALB, and does it have the latest? No, it does not have the latest. This is home. Oh, it has the latest. About. I really don't know what is happening here. Let me click on retry and let us see what's going on. So the deployment is going on when I clicked on retry, and we need to get to the root of what was the problem. The message was another deployment was going on. How is it possible? We are doing deployment through this code pipeline, but wait, we had created other pipelines as well. You see, succeeded 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. Why? we are not working on this. Well, guess what? It's no more our choice. We have created this and we have given the configuration that whenever a code change happens on the same code repository, this will take place. So what had happened was, when we made the code change for this pipeline, okay, since this pipeline also had the same source, this was also triggered. And while the deployment on Elastic Beanstalk and single EC2 instance was happening, here deployment on this code deploy group, which is with ASG and ALB, was happening, which is here for us in production. So what we just learned is, do not create multiple code pipelines with the same source. All right. So to be on the safer side, let us come to pipelines, and because all these two have the same source code, let us delete this. This is great. And it is important to get to the root of whatever issues we face. It will always present more learning to us. Delete pipeline. Delete. Wonderful. Now we are good. So now, when we will make any code change here, it will only trigger one pipeline. Or what we could have done was, we could have given those pipelines, if we wanted the settings to stay there, we could have given those pipelines a different source, not the same repository on which we are working. So same source cannot be the source, same code repository cannot be the same source for multiple pipelines. It will always create the conflict that we just saw in front of us. This is great. And now this has succeeded. For that, but it was already deployed there by the other pipeline. Great. If you want to check the API calls, I think the URL is same. Just click on ALB, although here, yep, on the two EC2 instances, both these routes are working fine. And create table. Okay, well, let us go to DynamoDB table as well. Let us do this right this time. Movies table created. Let us click on insert data. Item successfully created. Let us click on read data. We have read the data. Let us click on update data. And data is updated or not. Refresh. And we would know if actors list is populated and rating is 9.5. Amazing. And delete data. Item deleted successfully. I don't trust you, Postman. Let me check. Yep. And finally, delete table. It should be deleted. Okay. And refresh this. And here you go. So you have successfully created production grade code pipeline, continuous delivery pipeline, wherein you are deploying the same application package. First on staging, then you're taking approvals, then on pre-prod, then you're again taking approvals, and then on prod, and you're validating and verifying the application on the staging and pre-prod before giving approvals. Great. This is how we build the production ready code pipeline, continuous delivery pipelines for our applications. So the learning so far is such that we understand things conceptually. I may not have gone through a lot of different configurations related notifications, environment override, and triggers and alarms and whatnot, because that was not the focus. These are auxiliary. I mean, these are the services that contribute to the main service, which is building, deploying code repository, right? So we have learned the concept, and this was for two known applications. And if the concepts are clear, and if we go through the AWS documentation, then with some effort, we will be able to create the code pipeline and code deploy and code commit and code build configurations for our application, whether it is in Java, .NET, Ruby. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We know the language that we are working on, right? And even if we don't, there are documentations available. So if the concept is clear as to how code build functions, how code deploy functions, how code commit functions, and how are these application hooks structured and why are they needed, and how are these pre-prod, prod stages structured, why do we need them, where is the build happening, is it happening on the Docker or on an EC2 instance with the help of code build. So, and in case of code pipeline, what is the role of source artifact and input artifact, deploy artifact, build artifact, what is artifact store, what is the use of, and how does IAM roles, different service roles, and these sort of roles are created, how they can impact whether the application will work or not. We have seen that, right? How even something as small as a security group's port not opening or opening will impact our overall behavior, right? So with all these, we are well equipped to create the DevOps workflows of our application. Thank you, and looking forward to seeing you in the next session.